Open Line tonight. It is Beyond the News. We were talking with Matthew Torres, one of our reporters, and our newest face here at NewsChannel 5, another reporter, Seena Sleem.
She's shiny and new still.
Yes. We haven't worn her down yet. It won't be like that. And you survived the chili cook-off today.
And it was good.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how many people were amazing cooks here.
We have a lot. It's kind of a Southern thing.
Yeah, I'm going to be best friends with everybody because I need dinner.
Well, thanks to everyone. I didn't have to pay for lunch or dinner today.
Bonus.
Exactly.
There you go. Let's go back to the lines. This is so funny. We have Lucy on the line. And Lucy, when we were going to break, I asked Matthew, because he does Open Line every now and then, have you heard from Lucy? Because I haven't heard from Lucy lately. Lucy, I feel like you quit calling me.
What's up, Lucy?
Well, are you there?
Yes, we are here.
Okay, it's not duplexing, it's cutting out. I couldn't tell if you were putting me back on hold or not.
No. You are on live with us. We're glad to have you on board. What's going on, Lucy?
Well, I had to call in because you're doing a show with Mr. Torres there, so I have to make a comment, and I want to welcome the young lady on my right to Nashville.
Thank you.
It's not Queens, but I've heard people, tourists say, this is just like Brooklyn, and I'm like, no, it's not.
Broadway is like Times Square.
Is it?
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Mr. Torres. Mr. Torres, I would just like to say, I don't know if I could kind of do any good after the fake hillbilly call there, but I just would like to say I enjoy your interview skills. When I watch you on Open Line, you know how to ask questions, you know how to dig down on the issue, and it's a good quality hour when I watch you do a show on Open Line.
So nice.
I get to learn something, and you let me run my mouth. So, and I can get a little bit winded. So I just want to say I've watched you develop since you've been here, and you're turning into a fantastic reporter. And keep traveling, but make your roots here. And since you've got Filipino ethnicity, we can call you a Philbilly, can't we?
That's a news one, I think.
I'm going to tell that to my parents. Lucy, thank you.
Lucy, have a good one. We
I would
appreciate
give
you calling
Lucy
in.
a big hug right there across the screen. She's been so nice and she's so friendly.
Nice.
So I appreciate that.
And Lucy, forever ago, you asked me to find out an answer to a question you had, and I did. And then we keep playing phone tag, and you never leave me your number. So if you get my voicemail, leave me your number next time. I will call you back. So anywho,
I love Lucy.
Let's go to Brian now. Brian is on the line. Hi, Brian.
Hello.
Hi there. Go ahead.
Hey, I want to ask, the one guy on the left is Matthew Torres.
Yep.
He's been here a while now. Now, you might think that, this guy is relatively new, but he's been here 4 or 5 years, hasn't he?
Yeah, I've been here 4 years now.
See, Brian's a smart guy. Now, the girl on the right, I don't know her.
She's
I'm brand new. I made my first debut last Wednesday.
The other lady was saying something about him doing the talk show thing. But I'd rather see him doing more stories out on the street, and I would like to ask him and her, because she's newer. I'd like to ask him what he would think his specialization is. I know you got to cover everything, but Nick's kind of got his little style, and then Vicky's got her little style, and Rory's got his style. What would your optimum story be? It doesn't have to be a big one. And then what do you think? Because everybody's got to have the strong suits for each of them. Him first, and then her.
Okay. All right. So great, Brian. I love your question. So,
Seena, go ahead. Go first.
is there something you typically enjoy covering or very interested in?
I love doing human interest stories. I think that the thing that I get the most from viewers is people always say I'm very personable, I'm very approachable. So I like. We always do such hard topics, but I love finding that human aspect and finding something that I can, connect with them with and share their story. So finding that special character and that special story.
Yeah.
I get that question all the time. I really enjoy what I do, and so I find every day kind of a challenge, even if it's a boring story. I just trying to. As far as I feel like he's talking about styles. Like Nick has a certain style. Rory, Vicky are more of the anchors, but I would like to say kind of the same thing. Finding like more of the human piece into everything. I am the opioid crisis reporter, so that's lately become my strong suit. I do like city stories actually, and finding the human interest angle to those stories, and then typically kind of like human pieces. I hate to take your answer, but
Is there
that's
ever
always the most
something
rewarding
that you
thing.
say that you're assigned in the morning meeting, you go, oh, I really didn't want to do this?
Yes. I
Yes, I have my
both
list.
thought of something like that.
pitch stories that I'm like, I don't want to do my own story.
Matthew, you're not supposed to do that.
I know, I find myself, I'm like, "Ugh, man, it sounded great in my head, but then as I'm like trying to make phone calls, it's not so great anymore. But yes, all the time, or I secretly whisper to myself, not me, not me, not me, not me.
I will have to say, so I was the night side reporter at my last station, so I had to cover a lot of meetings. I get why they're so important, but I am good if I don't have to cover it, because I think that is what the fun part is about being a reporter, is that you always get a different topic.
Yes.
You don't really know what you're going to do, but just doing nights, it just tend to be a lot of meetings.
And long meetings. Yes.
I'm gonna say Holyoke. Anybody watching back at home? Any of my friends? Those meetings went on for 4 hours. They were known for that. I don't want to go to another meeting for a while.
And of course, like breaking news situations, that's always a given. That's kind of the adrenaline when something happens.
I would
that's
say
always
as
exciting.
journalists, most of us are adrenaline junkies, and that's one of the reasons we gravitate towards this career, because it's something different every day. And a lot of times you do. I mean, you can work on a story for 7 hours a day, and then breaking news happens, and it goes out the door. You're done. Maybe save it tomorrow and resurrect it, but probably not. And it's a brand new story, and oh, by the way, you're live as soon as you get to the scene.
And lately I've been covering a lot of court stories.
And that's what I loved. And actually, it was my specialty when I was a reporter on the streets. I covered lots of courts, and I just find the court system intriguing.
Me
Very
too.
intriguing.
To me, I find it easier to handle or to understand than, the Capitol.
Sure.
Or other certain things, even city. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's go ahead back to the lines. We have Wayne on the line. Hi, Wayne. Thank you for your patience tonight. What's your question?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
The question I have, first I want to congratulate the team at Channel 5 for 50 Emmy nominations.
Thank you. Thank you.
About a record breaker.
Yeah.
I love our viewers. They're so well informed.
I know.
So keep up the good work.
Thank
I
you.
have a good question for the reporters I've always been interested in. When you have to report to a side of a story, how much time do you have to gather information? How do you gather the information? And do you have to basically say, I can say this, but I can't say this? And does anybody censor what you report?
Great questions. That really gets to the heart of what we do every day.
So the news gathering aspect of our story. So we have our meeting every single morning where we kind of discuss, hey, this is what's happening today. These are our story pitches from each reporter, and this is what producers tend to, all right, so we want you to cover this story, and we want you to show your story in certain newscasts, so we have 4, 5, and 6. It may just be new at 6. It may be 4, 5, and 6. So depending on where you are in the show, it obviously limits the time of when to gather news. So typically for me, when I pitch stories, I've already kind of vetted it. I've already made some phone calls. I know some information, and hopefully interviews set up already. As far as timing, you just don't know. Especially if you're going in there blind. They give you a story idea, you're like, oh, I don't know much about this. You have to do your research, and then you have to call people to understand the topic, and then you have to get them to say, yes, I'll do an interview, because we are a news medium, we are a visual media, we need people on camera to speak on our stories.
Yeah, so please, if we ask you to come on camera, please do.
I mean, look, we have 4 hours to 2 hours. It really all depends.
And if there's breaking news, it's kind of just like go, go, go. You might have to put together a story. I put together a story within 5 minutes. You know?
And typically we want as much time as possible, obviously, but there are certain situations. Yeah, the earlier, of course, you have more time to put something together, but when it comes down to it, you got to get the basics down, the who, what, where, how, when, why. Those are the answers you at least want to answer, even questions you want to answer if you are crunched for time. And then to me, I feel like as far as censoring, we do have people who read our scripts to make sure what goes on air is appropriate, either grammar or even the writing style. If it's something we can change up, make it a little bit easier and understand better, and even legalities.
Yeah, absolutely. Legal issues concerned, that it's fair, that we're giving both sides you know, not necessarily equal amount of time, but equal say.
Yes.
I think is the proper way to put that. And in some cases, there is information that is not appropriate to put out. Just recently we covered a horrible story about the rape of a young little boy, 16 months old. We learned information that I wish I didn't know, and it's just not appropriate to say on the news, and it's not necessarily needed. If I tell you that a 16-month-old child was raped, you get the general sense of what happened. So there are times that we say, not needed on TV, not needed to be part of the story.
And if it does need to be part of the story, but we feel like it's too inappropriate to put on air, we'll say that. We'll say
yes,
the details are too gruesome, but this is what you need to know. So I think we try to be as transparent as we can.
Right.
Well, especially if it's a disturbing story, sometimes the idea of well, at the same time, there is information that helps you understand the severity of a situation.
Right.
It's not like that for everyone, but especially for breaking news or something, like a court hearing.
Yeah.
When you have to be live in about 30 minutes and, this key witness just testified, it's like, in your head, it's like, what were the key points?
Yes.
Of saying, we can't report on everything or else our newscast will go on forever.
Yes, and I think that's important for viewers to know, because I think sometimes they'll come back to us and be like, why didn't you include X, Y, and Z? And I have to tell them, hey, I only have 1:30 on air. You have to just pick what's most important and go with that.
And I think a lot of viewers too, and I don't know if this was Wayne's, where he was coming from, but a lot of people will say, do your managers, on a political story, on something that could be politicized, say, this is the angle we're going to take, as part of, an agenda. I have never heard that in a morning meeting anywhere I have worked.
And that's frowned upon. I think that's the thing all of us can agree on. We never try and go in and pick a side. It's always, let's be objective, let's be objective. Every newsroom I've been in.
In fact, I feel like you're worried when you get that story. It's like, can we get the other side? Can we make sure we are fair to everyone? Which, there are stories where you necessarily don't have to get both sides. Sometimes the one person interview is the story. It's just certain ones you do feel, we hopefully want to hear back.
Yeah. And I think that is one of the biggest things that separates now local news from what we are seeing happen on network news. The Foxes and the CNNs and the MSNBCs of the world, local news has really separated itself from how those operate to how we operate. So you just can't lump the media into one big pot these days.
But to me, you can also see just the integrity and how good the news station is, even with that little amount of time, how it is portrayed out there, with the information that we are able to deliver visually and, with words.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, we have to take another quick break. More of your questions when we come back. Thank you for being with us tonight.